Okay, so for the roles, we have therapist, myself, Lydia. Parent is Marco, who's a single parent. He's 40. We have a child who's Divya, she's 18. And Janika, the aunt, who's 30. We'll tell you a little bit about the situation. Since the pandemic, the aunt has came back from traveling and moved back in with the family. Since recent alleviation of the restrictions, Janika got a new job at the bar and has been spending a lot of time out with her friends. And she's been bringing her niece to the bar with her. Marco is concerned about Divya's priorities changing and her new focus on going out and partying. He sees Janika as a bad influence on Divya since he wants Divya to do well in her first year of university rather than focusing on going out. So I'll give you a brief summary of the first session. So in the first session, we went over the informed consent form, including the limitations of confidentiality, the rules and expectations, such as, for example, no secret keeping. We also discussed goals that each member had for the therapy, and a common goal that emerged was improving family communication. Now we're on to the session two. And the goals of the session for the family are bringing awareness to unhealthy communication patterns, fostering healthy communication and differentiation through integrating I position statements and building therapeutic alliance with each family member. So the session starts with a check-in. Yeah, how have things been since the last session? Has anything changed? I would like to ask each of you to voice your perspective on the last week.
Well, I guess things have been all right. I mean, Dad's angry as always, which is annoying, especially because I went out with Aunt Janika to a party this Sunday because I didn't have school on Monday. Um, that's mostly that's the main thing.
I feel like it's been the same as last week. Divya is so selfish going out late and causing me so much worry. I just can't believe it. She went out partying on Sunday night, and when she came home, I was worried that she might even be too hungover tomorrow to do any homework.
Well, for me this week hasn't been too bad. I've really enjoyed spending time with my niece and with my family, and I think it's getting a bit tense, and it's kind of a caveat of that going out and getting in trouble. So the balance of that is a little bit stressful.
Yes, I can hear that this week has been challenging for each of you in a unique way. In our last session, you all have mentioned that you would like to improve the communication with each other. Is this still something that we would like to work on today?
Yeah.
Perfect. So, in Bowenian family therapy, we believe that some of the tension in the family system is the product of our emotional fusion. So, differentiation is the process of freeing yourself from your family processes to define yourself. This can look like making your own autonomous choices while still remaining connected to the intensity of the family system. One way that we can start working towards this, towards achieving a greater sense of differentiation, is through the use of I statements. This might feel challenging at first, but I would like to invite you to try describing your experiences from the last week using I statements, and I'll give you an example of that. So, I statement is a communication technique that emphasizes the emotions of the speaker rather than attributions of the other person. So, allowing each one of us to communicate the emotions behind the statements rather than bringing up defensiveness or feelings of blame in the listener, which can lead to escalation of the situation. So, for example, when interaction in the family happened, I can refer to it from the position of fusion and describe it in terms such as you have made me feel, or you should feel. However, that leaves no room for our own experiences within the family. When we choose to voice our concerns using I statements such as I feel upset, as opposed to fusion statements, you have made me upset. We create thoughtful stance that doesn't compromise our sense of self. I would like to ask you now each to try describing your experiences from the last week using the I position. It's a good practice.
Okay, I could go first. I think both of you should be ashamed of yourselves after ignoring me all week and going out drinking after all I've done for both of you.
Okay, Marco, great try. I still hear in your statement the fusion was the feelings of the other family members. When you say you should be ashamed, it doesn't leave room for your own experiences or Janika's. I would like to invite you again to try to voice your concerns using I position.
Okay, I'll try again. Divya and Janika make me feel so worried by how they carelessly go out each night without considering how it might be affecting Divya's schoolwork.
Okay, yes, it can be challenging to get used to using I statements. Just give it a try one more time. But this time try expressing your emotions as you experience them rather than trying to attribute them to others.
Okay, I'll try one more time. I feel concerned that Divya is not focusing enough on school.
Yeah, that was great, Marco. Do Divya or Janika want to try?
I guess I could go. Do I have to like say I feel kind of like you mentioned?
Yes, try to voice it from your position of I statement. So I feel, I need. Yeah.
Okay. Um okay, well, I guess then from last week, like I feel really frustrated and really hurt. Um when dad tries to control what I should do with my time, especially because I want to meet new people at school. So it's my first year, and I'm at the same time like I'm really grateful for Aunt Janika because she's kind of helping me out in reaching that goal at the same time.
Um, I feel like I'm granting my niece with normal teenage experiences. I think these are things teenagers or young adults might do anyway. Um, I feel really grateful to spend time with her. I feel like I'm providing my niece with a really safe chaperone when she goes out to these bars or clubs. And I sense that sometimes it's being perceived as putting my niece in a more dangerous situation.
Yes. Thank you for each using I statements. That was great. I know it can be quite challenging to start using those. I want to ask you, how did that feel using I statements as opposed to the earlier ways of communication?
Okay, well, to be honest, like it was kind of difficult. Like it felt really uncomfortable to like say I feel this way versus like I said earlier where I felt like dad was annoying, but at the same time it feels a little like lighter when I say like I felt like that.
Yes, some of that differentiation from the other person using I position can be hard to get used to.
I found it hard to talk about this without telling Divya and Janika what they should do to solve it.
They, yes, it can be very challenging to use I statements. We're not used to it, and it will require a lot of conscious effort at first. It has a lot of potential to improve our communication with each other. But I
I feel
feel
like it
Janika.
was, sorry, I felt like it was a really good way to see how other people feel about the situation and to get a sense of their emotions um, about the situation as well.
Yes. You all done a great job doing that. Thank you for that. Yeah, using I statements is the practice, as we mentioned, of using the language that is beneficial during the conflict. So I think things need to change versus you language, you need to change. So the recipients often perceive you language as more accusatory or hostile. And on the other hand, if we communicate using I statements, or statements that include both perspective of the self, our own, and that of other person, we're more likely to convey our thoughts and feelings and get them across. And before our next session, I would like to ask each of you to practice using I position statements. If you feel that in communication with another person, you hear the escalation, try to incorporate that into your communication, coming from perspective of I rather than you. And we can see if anything changes next week.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.